The auto salvage auctions like Copart and IAA are a great place to get a deal that you may not otherwise be able to find. They're also a place for nefarious individuals to mislead potential buyers by reassembling cars after important, expensive parts have been swapped out with junk. And unfortunately, for my buddy Pete, this teardown is an example of the latter. This is the engine out of a 2017 Subaru WRX STI. Or is it? Well, that is what Pete pulled it out of, but this is not the engine that came in the car when it was sold the first time at the auction. You see, some dirtbag dealer in New Britain, Connecticut, and I'm not going to name who, bought this wrecked STI at the auction because somebody needed an engine after they blew up their built engine, which is what this is, and then they swapped in the blown up built engine into the car and reassembled the car enough to look like it had not been messed with at all. And that is where the problem lies. It's not that they put a bad engine back in the car, it's that they did it in such a way to mislead potential buyers into thinking that no one had messed with it. And unfortunately, when you buy a Subaru with a blown up engine, well, that's the big ticket item. I've torn down many Subaru EJ engines on this channel, and almost all of them have failed catastrophically. This one is no different. I promise you it's going to be pretty bad. But this is the very first WRX STI engine I've had on the stand. It's a 2.5 liter EJ257. It has dual AVCS or variable valve timing. That's the biggest difference. It makes about 300 horsepower, and they ran from 2004 all the way up to the 21 model year. Now, a stock one of these makes around 300 horsepower, and they sell used for between 5,500 and 6,500 depending on miles. And that is the kind of loss that Pete took buying this car, which is rather unfortunate. Now, another interesting thing about this engine is that it is not stock. This is or was a built block, whether it was built as a short block or a long block, I don't know, but a very well-known Subaru engine builder on the West Coast built this engine, and usually the built engines are pretty strong, which means that whoever had the car that this engine was in originally did something really dumb. So my buddy Pete at PMP sent me this engine as you see it with, for some reason it has a cut belt. It's a Gates belt, I believe. And then some jackwagon has made my life a lot harder. They probably stripped that center bolt. That's going to be fun to get apart. But there's some other clues on this engine, like the fact that the turbo is loosely installed. It's missing some hardware. Where's the oil feed line? You know, there's the logo for the company that built it. I'm not going to get into who did that because it's very unlikely it's their fault. But this is how it was pulled out of the car. They didn't reassemble or take anything apart. So unfortunately, because the belt is broken, I'm not going to turn the crank over until the heads are off, because I don't want to bend a valve in that engine. It might hurt something. The first thing I'd like to do is pull the spark plugs out of it. So the plugs, only one looks okay, and that's this one. A little tan color, it's not so bad. And the rest of these look like they're pretty overfueled. Could have been burning oil, I suppose, but I don't see a bunch of buildup on here. The important thing is that none of them are smashed, and none of them looks like they got in a fight with the piston, but something did. Next, I'm going to start removing the belt-driven accessories like the alternator, the power steering pump, and the AC compressor. And it looks like a lot of the stuff has already been, it's just like loosely assembled. There's barely any bolts in any of this, because degenerates. You may already be able to see some wreckage. There's a bolt down there somewhere. All right. All right, tied the harness out of the way so you can get a better look. Look at that, it's a connecting rod. It connects the inside to the outside. I only see one ventilated hole. I don't see any other damage, but I'm sure we're gonna find some. Wow. I'm gonna take a minute and start clearing off some stuff off the intake manifold. Oh, we're getting loose. It's like someone's been here disconnecting stuff. I mean, they did a pretty good job connecting everything or making it look like it from the auction pictures. Glad I was able to get that off without cutting it. What happens when I... No. Oh, I see what's going on here. It's this right here. Yeah, the clamp wasn't even on this. It's just loosely placed. This is supposed to come off in like one. Oh, it's this. You guys are screaming at me probably. Well, it's much easier when everything's disconnected. And we're off. Next, we're going to remove the turbo, and I'm actually going to pull it with the up pipe since it's still firmly bolted down. I said firmly bolted down, I meant it just had that one hanging. That was it, guys. And then this hose, there was no clamp installed. This is all just hanging out there to make it look complete. Let's take a look down these intake ports. Man, they are spotless. Look at them valves. There's a little bit of debris, but probably from the intake being off. I don't see anything smashed or smushed. There's not an inkling of buildup here. On the other side, I think this is the one that tossed its unnecessary rod out. I don't see any issues here. That looks good. So here's the turbo. This is a stock VF40. It looks all right. It's got probably average amount of play. It's not bad. It's a sellable unit. I don't know what they're worth. It's not mine, actually. I got to give everything back to Pete. But there's no way you need a built motor with one of these guys. All right, we're going to take a minute and remove all this engine spaghetti. Does that do anything for us? Hey, look at all this loose stuff we got here.
This one time at band clamp.
Oh, that worked. Now let's see if we can get this crank pulley off. Will this do it? Easy peasy. Next, we're going to remove the remaining 2 timing covers. As you'd expect, most of this looks pretty new. I don't think this engine was but a few years old. Obviously it looks really wet and nasty from the explosion inside. A little bit of the transfer from the belt on here. Obviously there's no tension left here. All this stuff looks good. The next thing I'm going to do is fight with that and hopefully not the other three. I have no idea if these are going to come out nice. I don't have the best track record with these. That one looks like it might maybe come out. So Pete told me to drill these no matter what, but I don't like drilling things. So we shall see. The oil, or should I say anti-seize, that's coming out of the AVCS gears don't look so great. First step is the most obvious. Use the air impact. Woo, there's one. Oh, we might get okay here. That's 50% of the way there. These things are notorious for not coming out. Holy cowie. Oh, that one's already loose. Oh my gosh, that is amazing. That's the best thing that could have happened. I was so fearful when I saw the condition of this bolt. I thought for sure I was going to be in a bad spot. These are hollow bolts. Let's see if we can slide these dudes off. Easy peasy. Now we can try to get, this belt is still kind of under some tension. Maybe not. That came right off. That one does not want to come off. It's got this little guard over here. Will that help it? Yes. Now let's get these inner timing covers off. Let's get some stuff off of this thing, shall we? What's going on here? Some actuator solenoid's gone. I think you could say the term, everybody's been here. I'm going to rotate it on its side so we can pull the exhaust manifold. I have no idea what's going to come out of this thing. I hear fluids. Oh, it's dropping parts of engine. Yeah, it's dropping lots of engine. So this engine also has an aftermarket Killer B oil pan, which is probably a good thing for Pete because he'll have another part to sell, try to recoup some of his losses. Let's go ahead and get this sheet healed out of the way. Now we can get 3 bolts on that side. I will say that it looks like everything's been rust proofed. Take a minute and get the motor mounts removed. We're going to repeat on this side. Ooh, it doesn't like that. Success. Perfect. Now let's peel the left-hand valve cover. Wow. So this all looks okay in here. The oil does not look great. not great at all. It feels a little gritty. That's something you should never say about oil. So definitely something oil related, I'm thinking, which would be practically unheard of for a Subaru. Wait, no, almost all of them. But it does look like this thing has head studs, so that's good. Next, I'm going to remove the oil feed line for the intake side of the AVCS. While we're here, we'll unbolt the dipstick tube. Oh, don't be so sad about it. Now we can cam the cam cramps loose in this cam tower thing. Yeah, we're moving now. It's the cam seal here. It's a problem. Don't want to pull the cam out and make it and let it hit the ground. So there's some good news here. These are not stock cams. These are Brian Crower Stage 3, which means, according to Pete, that this engine's going to have head work done, which means that the stakes are high that the heads are in good shape because they are worth quite a bit of money. Now, I will say that there's a little bit of damage to the caps and a little bit of damage to the cams. I wouldn't call it terminal. They're not going to have full value because they're going to need to go to the machine shop or someplace to be polished. But I wouldn't say that they're destroyed. We've definitely seen worse on this channel. And the head actually looks semi-okay. I don't really see any issues. It does have studs. There's not really a ton of damage to the journals. There's an odd scratch right here. I don't know if that has anything to do with the running condition of this engine, but the rest of this all looks pretty good. I'm still highly suspicious that this will survive, at least the other side. We don't know what that looks like yet. Now it is time to crack the head bolts, head studs, head nuts loose. I can hear the head gasket releasing. All right, now I'm going to carefully remove the head. It's going to make a mess probably. Nope. Oh, there's a little bit of moisture in there. Well, let's see. Head gasket. These never go bad. I'm joking. Looks good. And now we get to the part where this is a semi-built engine. I think these engines start off as a stock Subaru block, and then they make them a closed deck engine. This is all built aftermarket here. I don't know if they press something in. I don't know the whole process. I'm not a Subaru guy, but I believe that is a stock. I can tell you it's stock casting, and then I can tell you this is not stock. For the sake of this, I'm going to see if we can get these studs out. Oh yeah. I don't know if you should reuse these. I think you can. I don't see why you couldn't. I don't believe these are torque to yield. Well, obviously, bad stuff has happened. There's been some moisture sitting in the cylinder. Oh, things are starting to make some more sense now. So there's a missing part of the crown, and I'm sure that's not from pushing it too hard. God dang it. So I'm sure that's not from pushing it too hard. That's not from too much timing or too much boost or both. Not at all. I'm being sarcastic. That's a broken crown. You can see the ring. There's the gap in the ring actually, unless the ring is broken. Let's see, you can see it right there. So, this thing was being driven within an inch of its, well, a couple inches past its life. So the cylinder head, there's some moisture. It's stamped 5,000ths, which I'm assuming is how much it was shaved to be flat or resurfaced. It's definitely going to need a valve job with the corrosion present, but that's not really that concerning. And then, let's just pull one of these units out. Look at them. Fancy, fancy, fancy. What does that say on there? GSC? I'm not familiar with that, but I'm sure it's a good one because it looks shiny. I'm sure someone's going to correct me and say it's the best. I don't know. I'm not a Subaru guy. Time for some science. That did not sound good. It sounds distinctly different. Is there anything else in there? That feels normal, but maybe it's just because it's further down the bore. Just like the other side, the oil feed for the AVCS solenoid. Next, we can remove the valve cover on the right-hand side of the engine. Just get this bracket out of the way. Well, that all looks much like the other side. This all looks really good in here so far. We really don't know until we get the cams off and the head off, because this could still be completely wrecked. Let's cram the cam cramps loose. So I'm actually going to try to get these seals out of here. There's one, so they don't pull on the cams. Just trying to avoid some bad stuff from happening. So the seals are out. Now this part's unfortunate because this cam is in a bind, and I don't know if... Wow. No harm, no foul there. That could have been pretty terrible. Now what I should have done is turn it before I unbolted everything, but I don't know if I had a wrench that would have fit in here to turn that. But I caught the cam. You're welcome, Pete. So the head looks about the same as the other head did. There's a little bit of a groove there. That one looks nice. Little groove there. What do you guys think? I don't think they're trashed. I've seen 3-valve Fords run like that for at least 10 more miles. Well, that's because it's a 3-valve Ford, not because it's got some journal damage. So this is much like the other side. A couple grooves. They're not terrible. They're not great. They're not perfect. I still think they're very usable. I think the cams, after they've been polished, would turn out just fine. That's probably the worst one right there. Still very sellable parts. Let's go ahead and crack the head nuts loose. All right, what's behind head number 2? Oh, there's pistons there. I did not expect that. I mean, they're supposed to be there, but. So the head gasket, unlike 87% of other Subarus, looks good. So this looks pretty clean. Little bit of rusted moisture in there. The fact that the piston is still present is absolutely astonishing to me, considering what the top of the block looks like. And his neighbor looks fine too. I'll get this wiped out after our science test, but we need to go look at the cylinder head. So let's take a look at the cylinder head. Does it look like we have any PTV contact? No, it really doesn't. I can tell you for sure though that the piston hit the cylinder head. I don't think it necessarily damaged it. That all looks pretty good. I think Pete is probably one of the luckiest people ever, because now he's got some reworked heads. It'll need a little machine work and some nice cams to sell to try to negate the loss here. Although it does look like the head gasket might have been breached a little bit there on the edge. Pressurize the cooling system a little maybe. I don't know. What do you guys think? Now it's time for some science. That's not good. That's good. So we have one disconnecting rod. I don't really know. I kind of see what has happened here, but I don't really know how bad it's going to be when we get it apart. Next, I'm going to remove the oil filter, maybe. Oh, okay. It's going to be like that. I'm not even going to try. We're going to use my oil filter wrench. We'll cut this open at the end of the video. Look how little that filter is. My lawnmower has a larger oil filter. Time to attack the water pump. Be careful with these here. What? I just knocked the dipstick tube out of it. That's not supposed to happen. Battery unhappy. That's better. Aww. Oh, we still have one more hose. Trying very hard to save everything. And the pump is off. Oh no. So, the water pump looks excellent. I don't necessarily see a brand name, but I do see a 22 on it, so that could be when it was made. It looks excellent, but normally, I don't care how good a water pump looks. Water pumps should not be reused unless it was, no, it should just never be reused. But Pete told me, I'm going to send you this core engine, but I need everything back. Okay.
Water pumps? No, I don't sell water pumps. But what I do sell is high quality used Subaru parts. EJ Legacies, turbo and non-turbo motors, I got them. Legacy CVT transmissions, I got them. Forester engines and transmissions, body parts, I got it. Crosstrek engine, transmissions, body parts, I got it. Old Subarus, turbo motors, non-turbo motors, I got it. New Subarus, V8 WRX STI, engines, motors, transmissions, body parts, I got it. High quality Subaru parts, P&P Auto Group, 610-577-5594. Give me a call, I got what you need.
We're going to flip this thing over now so we can pull that aftermarket oil pan. See what kind of juices come out of this. Oh, there's some coolant. There goes my tool and some oil. I might pull the pan in that position. The stock pan is a stamped steel pan, and there's a couple different aftermarket pans, but all of the aftermarket pans, it is imperative that I save the hardware with them. So I got to make sure I keep all these bolts in one place. I'm going to give it a couple taps with the mallet. There is one threaded hole right here, and that could be a jacking point, but I think I'm just going to give it a couple boops. Oh, you can hear stuff. Anything holding this thing up here? Oh, looks like a dowel maybe? Was this a regret at this position? Let's see. Oh no. There's bad stuff in this. This is an absolute mess. Here is an idea of just how much friction and heat there was. Look at the discoloring on the rod cap bolt. It's amazing. I could go through all this, but I think what I'm going to do is just pour all the goodness out. I got about 90% of it. And so there's part of a rod cap. There's a wrist pin circlip. There's the other rod cap bolt. And the rest of this is almost exclusively rod bearing. Minced rod bearing. This poor Subaru engine. Even a built one. You run it out of oil, bad stuff happens. And so a look inside the pan, look at all that muck. That's going to take a lot to clean all that stuff out. Or just run it through the parts washer and hope that the parts washer recovers. Not my problem, it's yours, Pete. Let's go ahead and remove this pickup tube. You guys know this test to see what kind of things they stored in here. Ooh, it's got some, it won't come out. There's definitely some stuff in there. There we go. Oh, there's a chunk of something. Oh, that came out of the tube itself. Wow. Those two little chonkers right there. Those are aluminum. Remove the aftermarket windage tray. Oh. What is the sitch here? That'll do it. Oh, some more chunks of stuff came out. So this thing is pretty tore up. The back of the engine looks all right. Look at those big H-beams in there. But look at the damage to the bottom of that piston. I don't even know how I'm going to get this stuff apart. Obviously something has wedged itself here. The crankshaft is all the way up there, so that's probably part of a rod cap or a connecting rod. It's hurt bad. We knew that because there's a giant hole in the top. But I think the next thing I'm going to do, we're going to get the oil pump off. I'll get this bolt out while we're here. But let's get the oil pump off and see what that looks like. Oh, we're leaking. Let's get a little pigment down here. Let's go ahead and pull this apart and see what it looks like. Okay, let's get it cleaned up and we'll take a look. So, the oil pump, not so great. The housing, it's pretty deep grooves. Some odd casting stuff too. There was actually a chunk of aluminum hanging out in here. But when you get to the actual pump gears, look at all the heat on the end of that. That part's not so bad. This section is not so bad. A little bit of damage from debris getting between the housing and this gear, but overall it's not, okay, it's not great. It doesn't look fantastic. But this housing is also discolored from the heat. Before I get the short block off the stand to dismantle it, I'm actually going to crack as many of the bolts loose as I can that hold the block halves together. I don't know how tight they're all going to be, but we're going to find out. So let me get this knock sensor out of the way. This poor knock sensor. I think these are all loose already. Yes. Do I have any more over here? No. I think I have a couple on the other side. These aren't very tight. I don't know if they're supposed to be. Because of the design of these engines, we need to take the wrist pins out of the rods or out of the pistons to get it apart. So we need these access plugs removed. So normally I unload or load the blocks, the bare blocks on this, keep me from having to pick them up. Not that they're terribly heavy when they're stripped, but if I got it, might as well use it. Let's see if we can get these two access holes opened up. Nope. Laughing. It's not very strong. Let's work on this plate here. Stripped it out. Nice. Nice. Well, this is going very well. All right, cool. Well, we have gotten nowhere fast. We're going to hammer a T27 into these, and it's probably not going to work, but we're going to do it anyway. That worked. So now we just need to rinse and repeat if I can get my T27 back. Well, that works pretty good. Probably not for my T27, but it's not a real size anyway. Look at that. We got them all out. We can pop this off. Oh, there's shrapnel in here. And then there's another plug right there. All right, so I already spun one this way. What I've done, use a center punch, hit it straight a few times, get yourself a little foothold, and then you can spin it the rest of the way, and you get your... It comes right out. So we're going to try that on the top one. Look at that. I've dealt with some strip stuff in my life. In an ideal world, I'd be able to turn this short block over, and when you line up the wrist pins of the piston, you can pull the circlips out, and you go from the opposite side and drive the wrist pins out. That's how these come apart. I don't know that I can do that because there's not only some rust in one cylinder, that's the least of my concern. The destroyed connecting rod, that's a problem. So I think what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna try to turn the engine over and see if I can get it to move at all, try to move some stuff around with old blue here, but I don't know how we're gonna get this apart just yet. I have my fingers crossed. Oh, hey, we move. It moves. All right. So that's super good. Now I'm going to shoot from the back so you can see everything line up. Actually, we're going to do it right here on the front. Hey, come back here. Let's see, which way do I need to go? Okay, so that one does not move. That's the broken one. So I think what we're going to do, we're going to see if we can't... Look at that. That is not the right way to do it. You should not supposed to use a pry bar to move the piston. But you can see you have access to the circlip, and I can pull that out and pop the wrist pin out. I think it's kind of a moot point in this case. All right, can you see the hole? Yeah, that sounds wrong. That's not what I meant. Oh, we're carving some rust. We're almost there. I'm gonna have to go back and forth a little bit. Oh, we're close. All right, about there. Let's go ahead and fish this thing out. There's our circlip. All right, well, we have encountered another problem, and it's a problem unique to engines with gigantic connecting rods, and that is that the rods are in the way of poking something through the block from the other side. So we're going to try some transmission pliers and see if we can extract this. It is very firmly mounted in there. I think I can do the other side. The other side looks straight through. Let's look. So there's what the other side looks like. We're going to try to get that one out because I can get all the way through, probably because there's a broken connecting rod. So let's try to get this bank's side done, and then we'll come back to the other. Circlip is out. Let's see if I can drive this thing all the way through. Oh, we're moving. We got it. All right, so that is, we're 50% of the way there because the engine did one of them for us. Got it. All right, see if we can drive this front one out. That sounded good. I believe I've found a position of the crank and rods where I can knock this pin out. We're gonna find out. We moving? Hey, we're moving, I think. We are. All right, let's see if we can get this final pin out. There was no circlip on this side because I believe the piston is damaged. That was the sound of happiness, I think. The pin is out. Oh, wow. We have this final bolt here we haven't cracked loose. Let's zip some bolts out. The rest are on the other side. I think that's all of them. Let's split the block. This is not the recommended way to do it, but when the block is kind of bad, like this one is very bad, it works. Oh, there's a nice little parting piece. A bunch of bolts just fell out. Ooh, this one's tore up pretty bad. The question is, can we lift this out? Wow, that's bad. So this is what we're looking at so far. Our crank is out. You can see that journal is annihilated, but this block half, this is where most of the damage is, and as you can see, it is really not great. That is stuck kind of in there. That's not good. That was a rod cap. Let's see if we can't. I mean, I'm sure we can get this out, right? Yeah. Wow. Manly Stuff series. I think it's Tough series. That's pretty bad. Look at the damage it did to the block. So at this point, it's time to push. Wait, what is this? That is part of the rod. I don't know if I can get this out. We'll get the rods and pistons out in a second. This takes priority. Holy cazoli. Yeah, that's in there. That's going to take some work to get out. But that is part of the rod and it's totally embedded in the block. So at this point, we're going to drive the rods, or excuse me, we're going to drive the pistons out of their bores. And then we're going to work on getting this out. And then I'll have, well, then I still need to take all the rods, the 3 remaining rods off the crank. All right, there's one. I don't want to lose their order. Oh, that one's bad. We'll get you yet. That is very stuck. Oh no, I ruined it. I am totally gonna cheat and use my air impact to get these rods unbolted. I can get these 2 for sure, and one of the 2 bolts, this bolt, were maybe? That's a definite maybe. Oh, big oof. This one, no. So we really just have one bolt holding this thing together, kind of. I bet that bolt is bent too. Let's get some, the tried and it's time for the tried and true. Oh, these are gonna have enough gumption for, oh, wait. Ha, I scared it into loosening. I scared it loose. That's amazing. That never, I shouldn't say never, but that rarely works. Threaten it. Oh, now it's getting a little tight. This is troubling me. It's like when you're working on a car and a bolt is too tight for your fingers and too loose for the ratchet. That's the level of frustration I'm at right now. We're out. Okay. These rods are very light. We're going to make an attempt to get this chunk of rod out of the block. I don't know what it's going to do. It is very embedded. Yes! Great success. We have retrieved it. Well, this engine is an absolute wreck. Unlike the top of it, which didn't look too bad, this is thoroughly destroyed. This is the rod bearing. This is all rod bearing. Look at the color of those bolts I showed earlier. This was the section of rod that we retrieved from the block. It scratched the rod, or scratched the wrist pin. I mean, that's amazing in its own right, but the rest of the bearings tell the story here. They're all horrible. Absolutely horrible. And then when we get to the rods, well, this is what was left of this one. I mean, the amount of force it takes to do this is incredible. But this is the special one. So I'm sure it has to do with when it exploded, but they bent the top of it because the top of it is elliptical. It's circular on that side. It's one of those tapered wrist pins. No, I'm just joking. But wow, The force it takes to do that is absolutely impressive. These two rods seem to have survived the ordeal. I can't even really see any marks on them. Those would be reusable? Probably not. Probably not want to do that. But let's get to the piston. So that lines up perfectly with the connecting rod. The rings all look okay on this one, but this across the street neighbor, somebody was running a little lean there, broke the crown off. Ooh, man. So the question is, did this all happen at once? And, well, typically a lean condition and a rod knock are two different things. But where did that piece go? And then if you look at the piston itself, it is super beat up. Well, we get to some of the other pistons, and these look all right. I don't know what a partial set of pistons would be worth. I can't imagine very much. These might just be desk ornaments for somebody. So here are the main bearings. Look how destroyed these are. Very colorful, lots of debris. They're set up backwards. This is the front of the engine, and that is the back of the engine. But look at all the metal jammed in there. That's all from that first rod bearing coming apart. And as such, the crank, especially this journal here, there's a couple impact marks, but look at the color. My barbecue pit is brighter than that. The rest of the journals aren't too bad, but it's kind of a moot point. If this looks like this thing is done. So the next thing is just the most ridiculous thing I think possible. This is the oil filter from this engine, and I don't know if it was undersized, someone put the wrong size filter on it or what, but this is my mid-length 10. It's not a deep, it's mid-length. What are you going to filter with this? This is the most dinky, insufficient oil filter I think I've seen since I've been tearing down engines, especially for a built engine with probably had a big turbo running tons of boost. This is terrible. That aside, as you could expect, all of the oil coming out of this looks like bass boat paint. And when I look in the pleats, all of them have the finest of bearing material embedded. That's bad. So let's look at the block halves. They are really bad. Let's get some light on this. There's so much damage. You can see how it destroyed. I mean, the block is destroyed. We knew it was going to be destroyed, but there's a perfect imprint of one of those H-beam rods. And then the neighbor, yeah. I'm sure this one let go just very peacefully. So let's take a look at these bores. This is the one that's got a little bit of moisture in it. I mean, the bore doesn't look too bad. This one looks nice. Let's take a look at these bores. So they don't look too bad on this side. A little bit of rust. I think this thing's outside for a minute. And there's some pretty good vertical wear. But when we go over to this one, obviously, this is the one that let go the most. It doesn't look great at all. That one doesn't look great either. It's clear wear on the thrust side. Look at that. That's from the wrist pin migrating out of it. This is what I wanted to see, though. I want to look at this bore a little closer because this is the one that had the broken crown on the piston. Yeah, there's some damage there. So after talking to Pete about this and showing him pictures, it seems that there might be two separate failures here. Number one, the pistons. So apparently Manley had a bad run of those pistons where they would break the ring lands or the crown off, just like what we saw here. So that could have been at a completely different point in time than the oil-related failure, which I think, like Subarus, and again, this is really hard to blame Subaru for this because I'm sure it was low on oil. It probably was at high RPM, a ton of boost. This is not an engine that you bolt the stock turbo to. This is an engine that probably makes 600 plus horsepower. And they were probably pushing it really hard when it dropped oil pressure or didn't have enough oil in it, put too much oil in the heads. I wasn't there, but I can tell you that it came apart with a vengeance. And that is not the big problem here. The big problem here is that whoever owned the car that this engine came from needed an engine, and well, they are really expensive used engines, at least $5,500 to $6,000. And the built engine, I mean, this was probably $13,000 or $14,000. So they wanted their cheapest way out, and that was to buy a complete vehicle at the auction and take the engine out of it, which if they had just parted out the rest of it, they probably would have done okay. But what they did do is they swapped engines and they reassembled it to make it look like this car would probably run, and they ran it through the auction, and that's super misleading. I have definitely bought a ton of vehicles from both Copart and IAA that were doctored cars. This was a doctored car. I know Scott over at VCore has covered doctored cars a ton of times. It is not just body damage, it's also mechanical. I've seen lots of parts swapped around, and sometimes it stands out like a sore thumb. Sometimes, you know, people just make cars a roller and you can tell that there's no suspension on it. But in this case, they went the extra mile to make sure that the air box was in place, the intake was in place, all the hoses and all the lines, the harness, all that stuff was plugged in as if it was just a wrecked car. And well, they got one over on Pete. But if you do need Subaru parts, at least from this engine, Pete will be selling all of this stuff. If you need other Subaru parts, you can go to pmpautogroup.com. I think that's their website. Or call the number that I put in their cheesy commercial. Or wait, he put in his cheesy commercial. I put it on the screen. But if you need Subaru parts or, well, Subaru parts, because that's pretty much all they do, give them a call or a shout out. Tell them that I sent you because I like to know what kind of reach I get. And if you need parts for anything else, I'm going to leave our email in the video description. You can also go to Importapart.com and peruse our inventory. I have not been uploading our parts cars, but I will get on that very soon. I've got some other fish to fry. Really hope you enjoyed this teardown. It's definitely an odd one. As always, I love all the comments, all the feedback, and even the criticism. I love it all, and I'll catch you on the next one.